So good evening and welcome to the Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. We're live here in the studios and we're going to be bringing you all of the action from tonight's ride. Now we've got lots of riders already down on the start line. Looks like about 28 or so currently sitting on that start line. We've got plenty more to come because we've got loads of people signed on. If you have signed on as joining the ride, just one ride at a time, massive thank you for joining us. Really good to see some people back too. We've got Ailish Gilbert rejoining us, not seen her back on the Chain Gang for a while. And it looks like Chris Ball back in with us. Chris, take it nice and easy, mate. We know you're just on the recovery on his way back. Chris Canham is back with us as well. Alan Parson is with us as our red beacon. It's a bit of a reunion on the Chain Gang tonight, and one man who's been very busy and has been meeting some new friends as well, some old ones during the last little while is Russ. And I think if we are really lucky, we are going to be able to get hold of Russ tonight, and in theory it's going to be crystal clear. We'll see whether that is going to be the case, because in theory we're going to have Russ online very, very shortly. Now, just remember, we are with our yellow and red beacons all the way round tonight, and yellow beacon Russ down in red beacon is going to be Alan Parsons, but Russ we're going to have a chat with. So Russ, how are you doing? And I understand you've been in the studio a bit like me.
Yeah, the old white screen was there, and yeah, we had a good fun day out yesterday in the Peak, you know, showing the guys from Melon Optics the climbs of the Peak District, and then yeah, back in the studio today for a few more hours to do a bit of piece to camera really, and some scripting.
Excellent. Well, that's going to keep you on your toes, and I'm sure you've got a few miles in your legs, judging by the pictures that are coming back. So, on that basis, how do you think tonight's going to go? Because this is somewhere we've not been for a long time. I was actually looking; it's Halloween, courtesy of Halo Wheels, appropriately enough, that we were at this last, so a long time ago.
Like I said, mate, I'll leave that bit to you sometimes. You know, I keep searching for these things in my phone and I can't find them, so I just I'll let you come up with a vibe.
Do you know what? It took me a long time to find it. I must admit, scrolling back through, but it's quite good fun, and it does look a little bit dated compared to what we do now. But it's a tough route because we've got a really nice, easy start, and everybody could just pretty much set their tempo. Then once we get across out of the desert, it starts to get lumpy bumpy on the run in towards the volcano. Then the volcano climb hits and it kind of just all explodes, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, and just found an old program on there, and it's saying that we're going to have a sprint in there. So let's mix it up a bit and see if we can hold that together and have a sprint for one of the things. That
would be proper old school, wouldn't it?
Definitely, yeah. So I don't know if we've got the capacity to cope with all that at the minute, but we'll have a bash, you know. Try and keep it tight and see how we go.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see whether we do or not. And it would be remiss of me to go much further without wishing you A, happy birthday, and B, asking you, is it a memorable birthday, Russ, by any chance?
Same old, you know, just another number. So. They're slowly ticking up there now, but yeah, it was memorable because I was out on my bike doing what I do, and enjoyed it. Good weather as well, you know. We had a cracking ride up and out over the Strines, back through Bradfield, and then up to Higator, and did some good filming stuff. So yeah, it wasn't bad. Couple of beers and chill at home in the evening. So yeah, not bad.
Sounds like good rest and recovery and recuperation ready for tonight, and ready to go ahead onto the out and back. Well, the numbers are growing. I better let you get back to the gang and hopefully catch up with you before we hit that volcano.
Cheers, mate. And I'm just going to play it by ear and see if we have this sprint. So I'm just going to type and tell them, you know, let's keep the blob tight first, and then we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Good luck, mate.
Cheers, mate.
So great to catch up with Russ, and let's head across from Russ and head over towards the map and show you exactly where we're heading tonight. We're going out to the climbs of Watopia once we've gone around the desert. So we set off, we have a 2.4k leading, that's the little red section, middle top of the screen, into the orange section of the Fuego Sprint, then round the desert and then out into the tunnels, across the islands, into the Italian villas, through the Italian villa sprint, then onto the volcano, all the way up the volcano climb, spiralling our way up anti-clockwise, then descending in a clockwise direction, then back across the spit of land, back across the causeway, onto the climb to the Italian villas, back over the reverse KOM, dropping down almost to the traditional start area before a sprint run, back across and in, which is deceptively tough because you do actually have a climb out and in around the side of the Sequoia Forest. Now, it's one lap of 39.8k on top of the 2.4 kilometre leading. That means total distance is 39.8 plus your 2.4, which don't really believe what it says there. It's 42.2k. Typo on the screen there, apologies for that. But then we have a warm down to the beacon of 1.8k, which gives us a total elevation of 302 meters. Now you've got to remember that that is definitely going to be a very, very tough indeed, because we have all of those climbs in the very last part of the route. So that is where our riders have to get it down, and we might even manage to get the descriptions right before we get to the end of the intro here. Quick typos, because Russ and I both look back on that. There we go, 42.2k, warm down of 1.8, 303 metres, not too hilly, but all in at the end. So let's see how this rolls. We have to show you the fantastic Velo Viewer graphic, because this really does illustrate just where those climbs come. So let's jump away from the Zwift Hacks map and jump across to Zwift Insider's verified Velo Viewer map powered by Strava. Now we start off at about the 1.4, 24 meters, just on the Wiggles in. We work our way at the center of the screen towards the right hand screen, across the top, going around in a clockwise direction. You can see pretty level across the plateau in Fuego Flats, and then dropping down under the sea. That's the very lowest point of the course. We then climb back up and out in towards the villas, and then we go up towards the volcano in an anti-clockwise circle direction, anti-clockwise all the way to the top, do a spin round at the top, clockwise spin all the way round and down, and then back along and in, up the climb, through the sprint line, over the top of the reverse KOM, up to the high point, dropping down then quickly in towards the bottom, and then you can just see that long gradual drag back in to the finish. Now the course itself, of course, just short of 40k, 42 and a bit k up on the top, and it is going to test our riders. I think they're all lined up and all ready to go. It looks like we've already getting the go the riders just starting to head out and away. You can see one or two people taking to the grass there. Let's jump in with one of our regulars. I think we're going to jump in with the man responsible for the horse tours and the tour bread, in with Andy Hawes as he heads out at the moment. So as you can see, text working, screens are working. Let's go join the riders whose hopefully their legs and lungs are working here on the Donny Chaingang, live on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne. So our riders up and moving already. The group seem to be a little bit spread out at the moment. Plenty of ways at the moment as these riders make their way out. You just see the red beacon there. That's Alan Parsons, Mr. Redley. Just keeping an eye on those riders as we head out and away from the pens in underneath the rail lines. And if you've been watching, not too far in fact from where I am, the Tom Cruise, of course, been filming the Mission Impossible film with the steam train specially built, diving off the edge of the track. Sorry for any spoilers, but you must have seen it by now. And let's hope nobody does that today, because it's going to be landing on top of the bunch at the moment. So the group up and riding nice and smoothly. Looks like a little bit of a gap to our rider at the front, who I think is going to be just having to ease off a little. That's Lee Hayward. I think just knock the pace off, mate. We just got one or two riders just fighting to get out from the gate and trying to get up and riding. Looks like late start for Darrell Tushaw. I think Simon Booth just about in this group. Let's take a little bit of a look. So Simon just chasing at the back here. He's our rider. We'll get our drone up and flying. So let's get it up in the air here. So just seeing Simon Booth just making his way up. Let's take a little bit of a look behind Simon and see nobody in sight now pretty much as these riders just work their way onto the back of the pack. And remember, this is all about trying to keep the group together as we head out through the Fuego Flats and around these turns. We'll be on to the loop in the moment. You can just see it coming in from the left and right. If we pull up our little heads up a display, you can see this circle. We go around it to the right hand side. That's the same when we come towards the end of the ride. And as these riders circumnavigate this, we'll just jump in with his lordship. That's Greg Pillsworth himself, and we're just keeping an eye on these riders. The group trying to stay pretty close together here. Greg just kicking out 127 watts just to push up in to the back. So good to see Mr. Hayward. He's from Gaul, living in Turkey, and riding with a whole load of folk in on the Yorkshire Chaingang. That's what we like to see. Can't say we don't get out and about now. Just keeping an eye on the riders. Everybody looks like they're just about all together, with the exception of Darren Tatchell-Wall. And Darren is definitely one of those people who we know more than capable from coming in. Ted, although he's not from Yorkshire, could count as being a honorary Yorkshireman. Just seeing Darrell just squeezing on here, and Darrell at the moment, the heart rate starting to get into gear. Jeff say so at the moment, just being distanced a little bit. Jeff needs to just get a little bit of a wriggle on. So Jeff just pushing up here, I think alongside Mr. Kerr. Let's keep a check here. And it looks like Mr. Kerr with a bit of a drop out here, so looks like the watts have dropped off for Kerr at the moment. He certainly doesn't need to be waiting for Darrell, because Darrell will be motoring his way up here. Lots of people do in the early stages like to drop back, just give it a bit of a kick and just get themselves back up. Now this is the dry run for the finish. This is the dress rehearsal. Our riders now coming in, and you can just see coming up towards this rock arch. This rock arch is the finish line. Next time we hit this will be the run in and through, and you can see the line on the floor. That's the finish line. Next time we get here, our riders will have completed the ride and just have that 1.8k warm down to do. Just in with Mark Tickle. Tickers is in here, and good to see Mark. Nice and nice deep aero wheels on there. That's certainly been my choice. Would be something really aero. In fact, I actually would be putting a disc wheel on for today because it is super quick. Basically, the first 20k are flat or rolling. You then climb the volcano, but you then have the descent. You go up the back and come back down again. Now, Mr. Mason just asking, does anybody need any help? We're just going to try and take a little bit of a roll back. Craig Herring just a late starter, but he should get spat into the group. If you are a late starter, the key to this is to make sure that you get yourself up to speed and press join when you are sprinting, because that will put you in with the leading group when you join the ride. If you're in the ride, please don't sprint in the first few K, because you will cause anybody who doesn't do that a real problems. Now, Craig Herring just looking to drop back here. Darrell Tatchell-Wall, I think he's going to get some company here from Mr. Booth. So it looks like Booth just seeing Tatchell-Wall coming up in his rear view mirror. The two riders now together and going to start making the way up. It looks like Craig Herring not all that far in front, 10 seconds. You can just see Craig in the distance here. So it's like Darrell really working hard here. Craig Harris is going to be the first in the sights, and it's going to be Kieran Smith. So let's just take a look with the helicopter. You can just see these two riders working well together at the moment, really just trying to push on, trying to get themselves into the right spot here, trying to make sure that they've got this. And it looks like the group just starting to reform here. Craig Herring, Kieran Smith kicking out some numbers now just to bring that group back together again. And they're going to be chasing onto the back wheel of Mr. Ridley. That is Alan Parsons. And Alan just watching these riders coming out. You just see Kieran Smith coming past. Kieran just stretching his legs out. So the gang are working well together at the moment, and just at the back, Mr. Ridley, this is Alan Parsons, one of the stalwarts, one of the real heroes of the Chain Gang, one of our regular red beacons. And thank you to everybody. Everyone volunteers for those red beacons roles, and without them, the ride is much more difficult to control. They're not only sweeping and looking after the riders, they're also our marker for heading back and looking after people. It's our marker for where the back of the ride is, for how the pace is going, and all that is gained by the information that we get from knowing where that red beacon is. So that's one of the reasons it's important that we have them. And a massive thank you to everybody who volunteers for them, because without our riders volunteering to be our red beacons, life would be very, very difficult indeed. Now, just seeing a little bit of a gap opening up here between our leading group here and the chasers behind. You can just see it's just a little bit of a gap in here. But looks like pretty much everybody back together again now. Our riders in this fantastic Fuego Flats extension to the world of Zwift and coming in towards the canyon. One of my favourite parts to ride, partly because it's basically flat, partly because it is really, really quick, really interesting as well. If you're having a hard time, you can focus on the wheels in front, and you know that you're not going to get distance too much. And as our riders dive in, our drone cam has the added advantage that we can actually cut in alongside riders. So it looks like one or two riders just feeling the pressure at the moment, and they've got to get themselves in onto the back of those wheels. So it's like Steve G just at the moment trying to squeeze back in to the gang. So Steve G in that similar strip, the Mondrian inspired strip, similar to Jimmy Allen. Jimmy Allen on that grey S-Works with the Laviclaire similar kit. Just behind him, Mark Tickhill. And then it's going to be Steve G just in at the back there. Looks like Booth in with this group as well. And Keith Richardson doing the business one again. So out into this little oasis in the middle of the rock canyon. And we're going to be heading in past those waterfalls. So the riders at the moment working well all together, and the gang nicely holding its own as it makes its way through Fuego Flats, through the oasis in the middle of the desert in the canyon. They'll be heading back out once again in towards the desert before heading up towards the sequoias. So whilst our riders are making the way out from the oasis, quick reminder for people, don't forget guys, if you're a member of the DCG gang, we're coming up to the end of the month. This is in fact the 4th week of August, and it is almost the last ride. We've got tonight, we've got Thursday night, and then we've got Tuesday, which is all part of August. From a week on Thursday, we're then going to be into September. So if you haven't rejoined, if you aren't a member, then don't forget you can rejoin or become a member. That allows you to get the links direct to your inbox. We look after the people who look after the Chain Gang, so we make sure that everybody gets those links as soon as we get them. They go out in the members' email direct to your inbox. If you are a member of the DCG Gang, you can join just for 1 month at a time. You can get a block booking. If you go onto the block membership stroke all 2021, you'll see that we've got a block of membership which runs from September right the way through to December inclusive. So September, October, November and December. So that's the 4 months. It saves you having to register each ride. It saves having to renew each month. And it means that you're guaranteed to get all of those emails, all of the links first. It also means of course, that you get the heads up on where we're going, so you know where we're riding, how far we're going, where the finish line is. You get a view of the course details in terms of the profiles, links to VeloViewer for all of the stats you could ever need en route, links to Swift Insider for a description of where it is and which of the sprint lines, segments and leaderboards are on there. You also get a link to one of the videos that are on YouTube, and that might be a real old one like back in October. It might be something very recent, and that also comes direct to your inbox before each ride. You also, of course, get some suggestions from me about the ride as well as from Swift Insider, and as if that wasn't enough, we also make sure that we look after our riders with discounts. So we have discounts from Veloskin, from OTE, from Oakley, courtesy of 1080 Ian Taylor on the ride tonight. Gritty and Pretty Gritty, one of our key supporters. Got to say a massive thank you to them for all of their help with the Tour de France competition. So went to see Caroline and Neil from Gritty. I know Neil's on the ride tonight, and had a really nice day with them, and it was great to catch up about their plans and what they're up to, and of course to collect those prizes for the riders who completed all 6 stages of the Tour de France tribute on the Donny Chaingang. So a big thank you to the guys at Gritty, a big thank you to OTE. Got to say, my bottle of OTE, you can just about hear the distance, accompanied by some Grand Tour coffee, a big help of which from Ben at Grand Tour Coffee, providing the 3 prizes. If you are one of our weekly winners, the guys who we actually had on the Tour de France winning the prizes each week, then got to say apologies that you haven't got your special prologue packs yet. Then just trying to get the cup sourced as fast as possible at the moment, just struggling to get enough cups through fast enough to supply us with all those prizes for the weekly winners. So that is Neil Mansfield, Simon Runner, I think it's Mark Tickhill from memory. A big thank you though to Ben, because I know he's working really hard to make sure that we get all of the kit and all of the gear as soon as possible for those prologue prizes. In the meantime, we have of course Russ and I donated some prizes to the prize pot, as well as it coming from Stellaton, and a massive thank you to all of the team at the Stellaton, because those guys really have made a huge difference. They have helped us not just with the Chaingang, but also really have helped us out with the bottles for the prizes, and are regulars on the Red Beacon duty. So the gang out from the Oasis, now heading out into the desert, heading around to the settlements. You see out and around. Good to see so many people in on the gang, and just starting to head around towards the right-hand turn as they come out from this area. They're going to be heading across towards the Sequoia area into that forest. It's not going to be long before they are out in that forest area, heading up and then out towards the side of the volcano. Comes up very quickly indeed. Let's just jump in with one of our newer riders. We're going to jump in with Tim Leary, who's just in the pack here. So just going to pick up Tim at the moment with 120 beats per minute. Just trying to keep his power just right to sit nicely in with that group. We'll see if we get a view of Tim, courtesy of the drone cam. So Tim here, just on the side there, very nice Pinarello with the deep rims in, and just matching that pink and grey kit. Tim Leary riding currently 2.1 watts per kilo, 200 watts or so, 122 beats per minute. Just you can see the res going up and down, just trying to get the power just right. Steadily working our way through here. Martin Bolt, of course, the man who's done more red beacon duties than anybody else, sat in the pack. Interestingly, going for a lightweight bike, confident clearly he can sit in during the fast sections, but looking that he's going to use the advantage of having a lighter bike when we hit the climbs. Mr. Taylor in here. Now, this man, you've got to watch out, because Taylor has been doing some very good rides. He's getting quicker and quicker, and Rob Taylor is definitely very, very quick indeed. He's a man to watch out for when we get into the end. He was in that leading group in the run around France, and I've got to say, if you've not watched it, give it a watch on YouTube. Tuesday's ride in Douce, France. What a finale. And good to see Robin here. Thanks for the wave, Rob. The finale was fantastic. That group were riding so strongly, and we could just see they were bashing each other to bits, and every now and then there'd be a chunk, aka a rider, just coming off the main group as they came in. Brilliant to watch, and so good to see just how those riders were able to get into the finish almost in one piece, with Kieran Smith actually taking them all on, and he's the rider we follow in now. Let's have a little look. Jeff Saysel in here, Jeff doing good rides week in, week out. Just on this climb out towards the Sequoias here, just starting to see a couple of riders having to push in at the back. Come on guys, don't let the gaps go here. The back needs to keep pushing to stay in with this group. Now's the time to give it a little bit of a squeeze, because remember, going to come out the other side. Just see Alan there, Mr. Ridley, just taking it nice and steady, just holding the back of the pack. Jeff Saysel just need to give it a little bit of a squeeze. Jeff, Mr. Herring, well, Craig Herring, one of our regulars on Chaingang. We don't worry about Craig. Craig is more than confident and more than competent when it comes to riding in the Chaingang. And we know he's definitely one of those riders who's going to be in at the finish. He's going to be in at the kill. He's going to be there when it matters. So keeping our eye on him as he makes his way up here. Certainly looking like he's riding nice and smooth straight into the back of that group. And you can just see no problems at all. Now, our riders are starting to take the descent down, buried underneath the Sequoias. You can see on the map, top right-hand side, everybody just starting to pick the pace up, 42, 43 kph. This is going to get quicker and quicker. Already the group fracturing now. This is why you've got to stay on those wheels. The slightest gap between riders, you crest a hill, as you crest a rise, will result in a gap opening. You can see this leading group, there was nothing between these riders that went over the top, but the gaps have opened at the moment. It's our Red Beacon who's actually having to pull the whole of that back group back in together. If we just zoom out, you just see we're heading in towards the tunnels, in towards the sea at the moment, and the group fractured across the side of the hills here. You can see a group after group after group out there. And if we take the drone cam up in the air, you can see those fractures that have formed. And by no means is Mr. Richardson at the end now. We're going to need 2 or 3 riders, I think, to head back for Jeff and for Mark. So Mark Tickhill and Jeff Saysel, just because of the cresting there, just being pushed off the back of that group by the push. And it looks like Jeff, just to help him Mark on to the pace here. The gang at the front could do with a couple of the stronger riders coming back. I suspect we're going to see Mr. Richardson. He does it without even being asked. Look at this. Keith Richardson is absolute hero material. Quickly goes back. He can see there's people at the back. He'll help them back on again. You can see he's now giving it a bit of a kick to help them push onwards. This is what we want to see. And as Finn Donahue says, no numbers being hit on the front. You don't need to. The gap's open in the middle of the group. And because there are more riders on the front than there are at the back, the people at the back get distanced. It's the dynamics of real riding. It's the dynamics of the ride. If there is the slightest gap, if somebody lets the gap go, it doesn't necessarily need to be the riders at a distance, then the gaps will open, the riders will be distanced, and that then leaves them in trouble off the back, and it's nothing to do with the front being silly. It's all to do just with the dynamics of not being together as you go over the top. Once those gaps open, then it's very, very difficult to squeeze into them. You can just see here Mark Tickell giving it a big push in here. You should get a run in, I think, here. Looks like Neil from the crosscast just dropping back to help out with matters. Just in with Neil, of course, from Gritty. So Neil, my co-host on the crosscast, the Cyclocross podcast, helping bring those bodies back in together. I think Chris Canham is just dropping back a little bit. Mr. Booth is dropping back. Keith Richardson's back here. This needs to be a group because it's just about volume of numbers. If you look at the group at the front has about 40 to 50 riders in it, and the dynamics, the aerodynamics and the physics, well, if you want a lecture on it, please do see Neil. He's more than happy to be able to tell you exactly how it works, but it basically means the riders behind are going to have a real hard time because they're not going to be able to sit with the riders in front because the group just has such an easier time of it. They don't need to be pushing big numbers, they need to be watching the group. So it looks like Jeff Saysell and Pillsworth run it here, just starting to come back together. Neil bringing up a group there. Looks like Craig Herring there. Mr. Ridley is in there, but the gaps have definitely opened up here to Richardson and Tickhill. So it looks like at least one of the bodies. So it looks like Mr. Atkinson just starting to drop back. It looks like Alan Parsons dropping a little bit here. So Tickers on that climb, just really pushing right up there. Look at these. You can see the numbers, 5.6 watts per kilo to get onto Richardson's wheel here. Atkinson's there as well as assistance. Looks like really is here. So let's have a little look at the front and just keep an eye on what's happening up here. Pretty steady numbers up here. It's just the volume of bodies, I think. We're going to just take a little bit of a run up to the front. to the back of the pack, steadily getting back together again. Irrespective of the numbers, the groups on the front need to keep an eye on the back of that pack. Basically, if you go over the crest, the gaps will open. You can be sat in the pack doing 1.8 watts per kilo and drop somebody doing 4 if they're on their own, because we all know how aerodynamics works and how pack dynamics work. If you're in a group of 40 riders, you don't need to put the effort in. Even on the front, there is some assistance on the way through, and that looks like that's been a good recovery there. I'm just going to drop in the map. Let's have a little look. Have we managed to collect everybody back together again? We just about have. We've got about 3 or 4 riders just carrying on, squeezing into the back. Craig Herring just at the moment, just helping bring the back of that group up. So Craig Herring nicely in this group, and it looks to me like everybody just about back in the pack. It's all about looking after those riders. If you're feeling strong, head for the back of the bunch. You'll find there are always riders who are in need of assistance. Remember, we've now made our way out and around the Fuego Flats. We've come in and across on to the climbs up towards the Italian villas. Popping our way up on to the top of the climb here. This is the junction with the run across. This is the T-junction. The left turn here takes us in towards the Italian village. We'll come out the far side of the village, then we'll be heading across towards the volcano. A real big figure of 8, which really does test our riders and test the group. So I must agree with Ted's comment. Ted commented on the messenger that it is blobtastic tonight, and that's exactly what we're looking for. We are looking for the gang to stay together. Time for me to grab a bit of the old magic brew from Grand Tour Coffee. It's very good, much needed. I've got to say a big thank you to the team here who have been fueling me with coffee all day. Now we have got a very busy period coming up, not as busy as our riders who are heading in towards the waterfalls. And around onto the cobbles they go, in towards the villas. So as you can see, the back of the pack just about holding together as you come through the villas there. And as we were saying, this is a really busy spot here for the chain gangs to come diving in underneath the tunnels. That group, nice big pack of riders, and the place to be is tucked into the middle. Best results are round about the middle to the front third or so of the group. Hardest place to be on the back of the group, getting yo-yoed on and off. Our riders at the moment heading through and round these turns, and looks like the group just about holding together here. The yellow and red beacons together as in and through the line our riders come. If we pop them up, looks like the gang just about all together here. So just watching these riders on the way through, looks like the gang nice and smooth for the moment, and definitely worth reminding everybody, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be running the YouTube videos all the way through. We do have some busy periods coming up. Now, one of those periods that's going to be very interesting indeed is, in fact, this next week, because going to be broadcasting from the World Championships. So the action at the XCC, the XCO and the downhill at Val di Sole, which means that it's going to be a real tight turnaround for the next ride. So watch your screens. May or may not start late, may or may not come with commentary, and it may or may not have me with a very sore voice from shouting some of our world champs home. You can watch all that on the YouTube channel. I suspect it will be on GCN as well, and the world feed will be coming out. Don't forget, of course, you can pick it all up on Rebel as well here in the UK with Rob Warner if you want a break from me. And of course, we'll be looking at watching how that progresses. That means that the run into next week is going to be very busy as well. So apologies if you are messaging over the next week or so. You're going to get very limited responses because we're going to be working through the night on a lot of the broadcasts as well as during the daytime, the highlights, programs and the packages and so on. So remember, guys, make sure you get tuned in for that. The Chaingang continues all the way through, and really looking forward to being back with our usual gang Thursdays, Tuesdays as well on the way through. Now, this group just about holding together. Now they've gone through there, and this is a real roller coaster section. If we pop the map up at the moment, just watch these riders coming through. Just to begin with Jimmy Allen, you can see we're on the roller coaster section now. This is a really tough part of the course for our riders because it jumps up and down like there is no tomorrow. And the riders at the moment quickly on the way around here, you just see what's going up and down, the gradient going up and down. Looks like a number of riders now distanced off the back. Just still looks like Mark Tickle and Tom Lindley now distanced. Jeff Saysel just fighting to stay on the wheels now at 4 watts per kilo. Tom Lindley at 4.7. Remember, Tom, nice and easy on the way. After you've had COVID, recoveries from COVID, guys, then please make sure you take it nice and steady. So Tickers, Lindley and Saysel at the moment, I think, are the riders distance. Saysel may well get back in touch with the group. Just going to stay with Jeff as he comes in towards the group here, as the group dives away from the top of the S's and now down in towards the glass bridge, over towards the volcano as we start to make our way around it. So into the glass bridge our gang goes, and as you can see, the riders working well on the way through this group, just about holding together. 20k covered as we come in to the bridge, and ghosting the way through, which is always entertaining when that pops up on screen. So heading out towards the volcano, you can see the lava flows. Now we go around the volcano in an anti-clockwise direction, which means we pop in and out of the volcano a couple of times before we go up onto the climb proper of the volcano, when things are going to get very interesting indeed. Whilst we're on our way around the volcano, let's see if we can get hold of the man himself, hold of Russ, who I'm hoping is going to be on the end of a phone line, keeping hold of everybody and making sure everybody is keeping it together. But we will soon find out, because the gang is pushing on a little bit at the moment. So let's see how Russ is doing. Russ, are you there?
Just, mate.
It's quite swift tonight, and we knew this course is tough because it's one of the reasons it doesn't come round very often. And if it wasn't for the fact that we had a really good gang, I think we'd be struggling.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty tight there, but you know, bit of caps lock and we're all back together, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lumpy, and we do see that we saw a few messages saying we're not going mad, it's not our fault, but it is actually about keeping the numbers down and watching how the ride is unfolding, isn't it? It's not just about watching the numbers, because if you're on the front and there's 50 people, you can do a lot less numbers than 2 or 3 off the back.
Yeah, you know, it's a matter of reading what the ride's doing. It's like, you know, we had a little meet-up on Saturday, and you know, some of the guys on the back were doing bigger numbers than the guys sat in the middle, and it exploded.
Yep.
And then I was doing big numbers to come back, and you couldn't come back. So it's just exactly the same. You know, if the guys are going front, you get the wind, you're not going to come back. So you just got to look after each other, and then and have a bash when the 3 words are spoken.
Well, indeed, and at the moment, it's not going to be just yet, I don't think, although I am watching your heart rate start to climb. It might just be this talking and riding lot, but when I'm looking over here, so about there, your wattage and heart rate is definitely into 3 figures down there, the old heart rate.
Yeah, it's creeping, you know, everyone's getting a little nervous, you know, they've probably, probably got this pain cave bug, so they've listened to our conversations and seeing what's going on, but, you know, we're going to start the climb, I think, now, aren't we?
We are indeed, yep. Slight drop and then into the climb. It's going to come soon, so going to be really quite interesting to see. I'm going to let you go, Russ, because I know that I'm going to need to be on the knobs and faders very, very quickly here so that we don't end up getting caught out.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to be on the old gas.
I think so. Good luck, Russ. We'll catch you soon.
Cheers, mate.
So great to catch up with Russ there. We're back in on the ride as this group now comes up and on to the climb proper. If we get the drone cam up and running here, let's get up in the sky and keep a check on the riders here. We know this is a steppy climb. Now, if you've not seen this climb before, we spin our way around that confusing map. Top right hand side of your screen really does make life very, very difficult indeed. Just climbing out and away from the shore behind us and up onto the climb itself. This is where it gets very, very tricky indeed. This is where we know it is going to really test our riders, and this is where we know that it is all about making sure that you do not blow yourself to pieces early, because if you do, you're going to get absolutely in trouble. Now, just watching Jeff Saysel here just on the back of the group. Alan, our red beacon, just making sure he's ticking along. I know I'm after a smooth ride today. Just sat in with the back of the pack, not letting it go too hard the front here. They've got Russ a little way behind them, and they have to be careful here because I think there's a little bit poking the bear going on tonight, and that, as we know, is very, very dangerous. Just in with Mr. Wallace here as we come up the hillside. So just climbing up here, sat with Gordon Wallace as they come up on to the climbs. So the gang's starting to string now, just keeping an eye on the riders. Mr. Farron is in here, Sadler's in here. Looks like Dr. D sat in the gang as well. Good to have Rowan Dubash with us, one of our regular contributors with donations to the Donny Chaingang. Thank you very much, sir. Don't forget, if you're not a member, you can still donate when you join the gang. Every penny you put in helps Russ and I make sure that we can keep on bringing the chain gang out to people. We certainly couldn't have done it without all of the support from people as the year has rolled on. And as you can see now, the gang just coming to the top of the very first of the steps of the stepped ramps. Ease off, and then it's another kick again, coming very quickly indeed. So this is the next kick, so they go down that 3%, up onto another kicker here, and the gradient really does come in. So if we drop down alongside at the moment, it's 4%. It will soon kick up again. You're just coming round. We're going to have a nice flat section in through the volcano. Our riders working well together at the moment. So here we come up to the top of this step, and the riders are pretty much all together. Just come in underneath the arch, minus 6% on this drop down here. And it's another kicker once again. You can just see back onto the climb. 5%, 6% goes into the red, back into the volcano. Now, if you're trying to stay with the group, it's about kicking into this, but just taking a little bit of a look back, I think there's a little bit of a gap opening up here to the yellow beacon. We're just going to take a little bit of a look. The advantage of having our fantastic drone is that we can go back now. Looks like the yellow beacon just being dropped off the back of the pace here. It's always good to see everybody watching out at the moment. So the advantage of our fantastic drone shot means that we can actually see where we are relative to everything else. As you can see, we're out on to the side very shortly indeed. We'll drop back in with the riders. And as you can see, the pack just in front of Russ, who's squeezing his way back in. Looks like Ken Kerrigan just feeling the pressure. Ken on the recovery from COVID. Mr. Leary with Mr. Redley back there, Alan Parsons, Craig Genther back at the back of the pack, Sonia Inslee in here, Sonia another of our regular riders on the Chaingang, and Sonia again going slightly lighter wheels than the full-on discs. So a quick squeeze from Sonia to grab the main part of the pack as they come up on towards the top. And as you can see, spiralling the way around this group back pretty close together again. That's what we want to see as we scroll our way back through it. Our yellow beacon looks like he's just working his way through with the riders behind, just sitting on Russ at the moment. And on to the climb. You can see at the very bottom of the map, big old climb up towards the top here. So the wonders of our X-ray drone. Up on to the side here, this group looks like the red beacon just working his way up nice and steadily, just bringing up the rear of this group, coming up towards the climb. If we zoom out on the map, well, you'll be able to see just where the top of that climb comes. As you can see, we've got basically one full revolution to make to bring ourselves up to the top of the climb. So this the final circumnavigation of the volcano on the way up. We then do one circuit up on the top before reversing our direction and starting to drop back down again. 25k covered, 44.5 minutes of riding, and that looks like Russ on the front just stopping everybody from going charging up towards the line. So the group's still just about holding together. Just seeing one or two riders feeling the pressure because the pace has picked up. So up on to the wooden boardwalk our riders go. Back onto the tarmac very shortly, about half a lap or so round the volcano. You can see the Alpe Zwift out in the background, and plenty of climbs out and around the riders, but at the moment it is the volcano climb our riders are on. There's a big drop off the side, but remember they'll be up and around the loop, then heading back down. They may even in fact see the red on the way down to get around the loop at the top quick enough. And always good to see the riders. Very interesting for us, of course, watching. The recovery, though, on the way down is very, very tricky because you can't just freewheel the whole way down. If you do that, you get lost and distanced by the riders who push on along the flat sections. But at the moment, the group aiming to stay together as we come past some of these sort of lava pools out to the right-hand side of the roadway. Gradient due to kick again, and the top of this climb goes up into double figures. It does test the riders, and definitely not the nicest of times for our riders. They go up over the top, but the gang holding together well here. and just coming up. Now these the broken archway at the side, always an indicator for me that things are about to get steep. It's where you know that you're about to hit the numbers. Watch top right hand side of your screens. 4% at the moment, 5. Now it starts to kick in as you come around past the big boulders, 6, 7, soon be up to 8 and 9. As you come up to the next boulders, you're into the red numbers. Here we go, 10, double figures starts hitting here. You can see the gantry coming up, doesn't ease off though till you get right over the top, and it's consistently a 10% gradient as you come up. Now it starts to ease as you come past the road junction, but it's not very quickly until you get almost up to the line. And this is where the riders are all coming back together again. So here we go. Around the top of the climb, you can see this fantastic shot down onto the edge of the volcano for the riders. They come round the top of this loop. They're going to make their way round, and they're going to take the right-hand turn and drop themselves back down side of the mountain. The group now split and spread as they come around the top of the volcano climb. They've got to take the right turn. They'll be heading back down that road. And you can see behind that main group, because the riders weren't all glued together, that's how fast it breaks up when you come to the top of a crest. And here on the top of the volcano, the air distorting and blowing the beacon, the yellow beacon's yellow pillar about as the riders go over our helicopter, dicing with death as it comes up to the edge of the mouth of the volcano. But the yellow beacon group just dropping down, just passing the red beacon in the opposite direction of our camera at the moment. We're going to see if we can melt the helicopter. So here we go, on the descent go our riders into this very quick drop down. Just watching back from Russ here, very few people here, and it really is split to pieces here. We can just see the groups. We're going to pull on the map, and it is fractured all over the place. It's like dot to dot behind this group. So now it's time to chase. If you get distance off the top, you've really got to push. Just see here, Andy Verrill, Mr. Kerr, Tim Leary. Looks like Craig Herring back in the main pack here. They are fractured. You see they are literally a full turn above the riders. Still got 1 or 2 riders on the way on that push up towards the top. Just in with Craig on the descent now. Now the front group here get the chance to get a rest. They get a chance to take it easy on this descent because they've done the hard work on the way up. However, they now have to be careful. If they go too hard, they'll distance the riders behind. You can just see chasing hard here. Looks like Saysel just in front, then Carl Johnson. That yellow beacon's not all that far in front of them at the moment. Looks like Learmouth with Wallace, Bobby Mason in there. Lone Rider and Ted not all that far behind. Then there are next dot to dots behind. Looks like Sean Ferron, I think he's sandwiched in between. And then it's Canham and then Kerr with Verrill for company. So Verrill at the moment in the grey chasing Kerr. Just looks like they are pushing on that way down the yellow beacon group, though steadily stretching its gap out in front. And Neil from the Crosscast really having to push on here. And you can see if you get distance at all on this descent, it is so quick. The gaps definitely open up very fast indeed. So all those little steppy rests on the way up are now becoming little kickers on the way down, just to break up the momentum, and that's what makes it so hard on this descent to stay cohesive, because it is the little flat sections on the way up that turn into a rise that break up the group. You see just coming up over here, 1, 2, 3%, and the gap opens up as the riders in front drop over the top of the crest. And that big pack who have strength in numbers don't need to push on to make life difficult at the moment. The people that are making it difficult, for it looks to me like it is Russ, Adi Dench, Craig Genther in that chasing group on there. It looks like Jeff Saysel, Carl Johnson, Bobby Mason, Wallace Learmouth, Lone Rider. These guys need to now find a group, grab a pack, and keep together to hold it all together as they come down. The first of the selections, I think, made up on this climb. as we watch our riders descending here, just riding in with Eddie Dench at just shy of 70 kph. Eddie coming in to this drop down, and this is where we're going to see the gang dropping down and heading towards the turn. Not going to be long before our riders head out and down towards the shoreline. So here we are, left-hand sharp, left-hand turn coming up for the riders, quickly flicking around. Still plenty of people in this group to continue to push onwards. The group's fracturing. If we take a little bit of a zoom out on the map, top right-hand side, you're going to see there are riders dotted all over that volcano. And that's quite simply because the gaps have opened up and the go has gone. They've hit the bottom of the climb. The gap's gone and it is go. Here we are. This is where things get very, very tough indeed. It is definitely tough stuff. And away they go. So, who is going to be able to hold this as they continue to push? We're going to jump up towards the front. I think Andy Hawes at the moment has the gang behind him, but not for long. They're continuing to push up on to his shoulder here. And the group is starting now to stretch out. This is the leading pack as Go has gone. This is the fast section across the causeway in towards Italian Villas once again. Then we've got the climb up. So the group pushing, the group are working hard here. They've got to get it back together again. This is tough stuff as they go. We're just seeing the messages, numbers of riders off the back of the group, and I'm not surprised. It is so brutal out there. The gang really have to push, and we did say if you're on your limit on the way into the climb, when you come off the top, it is really going to get hard. Now, looks like John Garfoot at the moment just starting to pay the price here. And looks like Garfoot has gone off the back of the group here. So Craig Genther holding the back, Garfoot. And then Taylor, it looks like Inslee, Saysel, looks like Limouth, as well as Johnson and Mason. All these people chasing. But as you take a look up, you can see the gang up at the front just about holding it all together. This is going to be tough stuff. So the gang now up on to the climb here really is starting to fracture, really starting to put the hurt on. The group starting to break off and the work is being done. Guess who's giving it some big beans up on the front? It's only going to be Kieran Smith right on the front of the nose of this, working hard, opening up the gap. So the leading group pushing, dropped Russ by the look of it. Mason, big man in all black with the disc wheel, chasing hard. Kieran Smith there with the flat cap up on to the front. In fact, two of our riders now riding in identical kit here. So it looks to me like Phil Ozuke on the pink bike. And then it is Kieran Smith on the green Tron bike. There are two riders in black. Johnny Atkinson now up over the top in the blue and white of Cryogen. Simon Booth, well, Booth is there in the red and white kit. It looks like Neil from the Crosscast. He's in all black, no hat on though. And Neil riding on a set of deep rims. Still got Jimmy Allen in this group. Jimmy Allen riding that Mondrian, the La Vie Claire style kit. So the red, white, grey with the white sides there, red shoulders. A real preponderance of a black kit up at the front. So this is group number one. Now it's 7 seconds back to group number 2. If we jump in with group 2, you can just see if we go up in the air, this is group number 2, the yellow beacon group. They can see group number 1 in front. That gap at the moment, it's sitting at 6 seconds. The climb is coming. We're going to climb right up to where the statues are at the top. Then we're going to wang a quick drop back down again. This is a nasty, nasty climb. I absolutely abhor this climb with a passion. It is mean as sin because you hit the steep section as you come around that right-hand turn, and it really does tear your legs off. You then drop back down into the bottom, and any gaps will open. Now the rider's on to the actual climb itself, and we're just in with Simon, aka Sean, aka Simon Run It, as the bear now starts to push. Now is Russ been smart here, not chased too hard too early. You can just see the group in front. It's 4 seconds between this chasing group and the leading pack behind them. Then the next group of riders really are too far to be able to close the gap down. Now the bridge across trying to be made here by Downing. Meanwhile, big kick coming up as they're on here, and it looks to me like Mason has gone hard up over the top. This is the nasty section here. They come around this turn. You can see behind the riders starting to get distance here behind Atkinson, but in front the gap has opened. It is 2 riders up at the front. Kieran Smith has company. The man he doesn't want to have with him, if it comes down to a sprint finish, it is Gareth Mason. So it's Mason, the fat cyclist, on the front. Kieran Smith in 2. So that's the 1 and 2 at the moment. They've got a gap now. 8 seconds to Atkinson, Daryl Tatchell Waller, Jimmy Allen, Simon Booth. Then it's going to be 11 seconds to OZK. Crosscast Neil, 18 seconds to Genther, 19 to Downing Dench, 20 seconds to Steve G, 25 to Run It as they now make their way onto this long, draggy, gruesomely, horribly grim second section of the climb. Making it sound appealing, aren't I? So you can see where our riders have come from. Just down in the bottom, they came around the side of the lump of a mountain just at the bottom. They worked their way around the side up onto the bridge directly behind them, and then climbed up on to the top here. And look at the gap that has opened. 2 riders, Kieran Smith and Mason. This is a really, really tough stuff behind then. These are the riders chasing. So OZK at the moment with the pink Tron bike. Then it's Atkinson, Darren Tattershaw-Waller just coming up on the orange Tron bike there. Jimmy Allen, well, he's just behind there, just squeezing on with Booth for company. And now this group of 5 riders, 5 versus 2. You'd normally say the chances are it's with the 5. And look at Neil from the Crosscast. He has broken back across here and got the gap down. So Neil from the Crosscast really working hard to get this group back. And he knows that once we hit the descent, you cannot afford to be on your own. You are going to just get swallowed up by whatever chasing group is behind you. It's 11, 12 seconds back to this. This is the next set of riders. I'm reluctant to call it a group, and that's quite simply because they are broken up at the moment. So Craig Genther at the moment is on that blue Tron bike, just dropping at the bottom of your screen. Then it's Adi Dench in the red. Russ Downing on his heels here. Then behind them, you can just about make out Mr. Run It and Herring, then Steve G, then Kooslugs and Hayward, Dowtree behind. The gap has opened now. This is the chasing group. They are chasing 2 riders. Mason right on the front of this group with Kieran Smith. So Mason with no hat, Kieran Smith on the Tron bike with the hat on, coming up towards the top of the reverse KOM. Phil OZK, Simon Booth, Jimmy Allen behind, chasing hard. Johnny Atkinson, Crosscast Neil, Daryl Tatchell Waller in that pack. They all want to get that gap right the way back down again. Very difficult to do though, because as they come up to the top of the climb, that is sitting at about 8 seconds now. Craig Genther putting a massive push on to get across from Adi Dench across to group number 2 on the road. Over the top they go. Kieran Smith with a 3:47. That's a fast time up there, as does Mason, fat cyclist. Daryl Tatchell-Waller, 3:53. Just seeing Genther come through 3:55 behind. A real tough stuff today. Those 2 leaders with a slight gap as they come up over the top. Russ AD Dench and Simon run it with 4:02, so you can really see what those time gaps are, can't you, as they come over the top now. These are our two leaders. They are 8 seconds clear of the chasing group behind. These are the chasers. These are the riders who are trying to get back in touch with riding in with Phil OZK on this descent on the way down. 68 kph, 69 kph, 70 kph. Big numbers here. They're chasing the two riders in front. They're down to 4 seconds now between them and the riders in front. And this is the power of the group working together. This is the speed that they've got. They're not doing as big a numbers as we're seeing from Mason and from Smith. But Mason and Smith are not holding them off. We're going to take a look back. And I think Kieran Smith is about to get caught here by the group. And this is all to do with the speed of the group. So that massive effort by Kieran Smith and Gareth Mason not working. You just see Russ going over the top of the bridge there, a full little loopy lap behind, and you can just see the beacon chasing here to try and close that gap down. Now it's Mason still holding the front. He's making them work for this. Phil OZK leading the charge behind now at 6.6 watts per kilo. Then it's Neil from the crosscast. Then it's going to be Atkinson, Smith, Allen, Booth, all in that group. The chase on behind, but nobody at the moment answering the power. And Mason still holding a couple of seconds over OZK behind. You can just see these riders coming into this middle island. They're going to go across the middle island after this wooden bridge. A gradient kicks up over the bridge. It's a couple of percent. And at the moment, Kieran Smith now back onto the front, trying to close down. Mason in front behind. The chase is coming, but it's going to be, I think, too late for the group chasing. Craig Genther, I think, going to be settling at the moment for being caught by running. We'll have to see what happens there. At the moment, Smith just trying to chase onto the back of Mason. Mason just about holding them off at the minute. He's got 4 seconds. This is man one. He's ahead of the chase behind, and you can just see everybody pushing to close the gaps down. Now a little bit further back, you can just see this is the Rich Oral group. This has got Taylor and Co in there. They're chasing the groups in front. We're going to jump back up to the riders in front now. OZK in pursuit. He's putting the numbers out. He's stretching the group. He is riding stronger and stronger week on week. He's after Mason, the fat cyclist, who still is kicking out 4.5, nearly 5 watts per kilo. This is a big rider on flat ground. He's able to push the gaps out. He's able to extend this. He really is working well at getting this gap up again. Now up to 7 seconds. Now this group behind, they have to start getting this together. Once we go past the pens, that is the chevron arrow shape, like the fleshes, like the feathers on an arrow, then you will see that we've got 2.4k from that junction to the finish line, and that is what he's got left at the moment. It's over 3k to go, and this is going to make life tough for Mason. Mason continues to push here. Behind the chase is on. OZK in that leading group here, still pushes the pace up. We're just going to jump up above them here. So it's OZK at the front with the flat cap, then Booth with the red jersey with the white shoulders, just moving up on the right hand side is Neil from the crosscast, dives up onto the wheel of OZK. Then it's Booth. Then here comes Jimmy Allen. Allen rotating his way round, being followed by Tatashul Waller. 12 seconds now the gap. They've got to keep this going. There's less than 2.4k because already you can see Mason has gone past at that point of no return, that 2.4k marker of the start pens. You just see the great pillars up above them now. Mason has to hold this for 2k. Can he do a 2k, half a pursuit or a junior pursuit here to keep clear of the riders behind? It's Smith, it's OZK. It is going to be Daryl Tatashul Waller in this group. They are absolutely nailing this at the moment, but this is such tough stuff, and you can just see that the setup that he's got, this is the bike that we would suggest for this route if you're a bigger rider like Mason is. It's aero, aero, aero all the way, because this is what the course is mostly made up. If you can stay with them on the climbs, then this is all about making sure that you've got the most efficient ride on the way into the finish. Disc wheels, deep rims, aero frame, and you can really push And look at this, Mason is pushing now at 14 seconds. And the group behind, well, I think they must have decided that they're out for a bit of a run. I think they've given up in the run for the P1 position, and they are literally now just riding for second place into the loop. The gap is still 15 seconds, and at the moment, it's game over. They're all going to be fighting for first loser. They aren't fighting for winner here, because it is going to be Mason, who really does need something drastic to happen to him for the wheels to royally fall off, because at the moment, this gang 16 seconds, it's still going outwards here. So Mason now onto this junction. He's got the gap. Can they close it down? Neil from the crosscast back on the front here. Mason at the moment, as it says, his heart rate's scary. 192. He's scary big numbers. He's in here. Are we going to get a sprint from Mason? He could cruise into the line if he wanted to, but at the moment, Gareth Mason is making this look like it is well and truly his. I'm not going to say it's easy, because he's kicking out nearly 500 watts. He's nearly at 200 beats per minute. He's at 100 revs per minute. No one can say this man isn't working for it. And those numbers aren't lying. He is going to come in here. This is absolutely superb stuff. I can't imagine he's got anything left to sprint into the finish, but he's going to take this on the out and back again here on the Donny Cycling YouTube channel on the Donny Chaingang. It is going to be Gareth Mason crosses the line in first place. Behind the sprint is unfolding, and it looks to me like it is going to be Kieran Smith. Kieran Smith's going to come through in the lead. It is Smith who takes it from Booth. OZK being followed there by Jimmy Allen, Dowtash Waller, Neil from the crosscast coming through. Johnny Atkinson comes through behind him. Then it's going to be 50 seconds behind pretty much to this group now. Who's going to take it out of this chasing group behind? We're just in with Simon Runnett. We've got Craig Genther in here and Adi Dench now. We know Runnett can sprint, but Genther's got a big kick on him. Here he comes. So the kickers come from Genther. Massive, massive revs. 133 revs per minute he goes in. Oh, nearly rolled on the line there by Dench. Dench doesn't quite get the timing right. Runnett comes through behind. Then it's the bear. It's Russ Downing, and you look at the heart rate, 103 beats per minute. That's a surefire indicator that Russ is spinning this in. 100 revs per minute, 101 beats per minute as they go in with Johnny Atkinson saying a mega effort fatty. You're not wrong. I tell you something, I wouldn't want to call Mr. Mason fat. That is for sure. Now, here we go. Russ on his way into the finish. He's got 12 seconds on Kooslugs and Craig Herring. But Mr. Downing, Russ, who's been getting the miles in, has been doing the business out and filming. Well, he's on his way towards the line now. So Russ, our next rider in. The bear comes in to the line behind him then. This is going to be a tight sprint in here. Kooslugs just getting pipped there by Craig Herring. Craig Herring finishing there just in front. Stevie G comes through. Vin Donoghue comes through. Billy No Mate's putting in a good rider. Dubash coming in. Richardson, Orrell, Annie Hawes, Dowtree, Lindley. Real big groups. Big corner cut there by Mr. Campbell. Crease comes through. Apologies if we don't get back fast enough to pick you up on the way through. So many riders on the way through here. Well, to Tom Lindley doing a good job there. So this is our next group out on the road, and this is going to be John Catley, Chris Ball and Mr. Sadler all together here. So John Catley, Chris Ball and Chris Sadler, our next three riders approaching the line. Are we going to get a sprint out of them? Mr. Ball meant to be taking it steady. Well, he's still putting a storming ride here. Deep rims on there. In fact, it looks like the lightest disc combo on the F1 there. That would be my absolute bike of choice on this course, and it looks like Ball's going to use that to maximum effect. Comes across the line first there with Sadler and Catley behind. Then it's going to be the man from 1080. Looks like he's just going to be rolled on this sprint in here. Looks like we're going to have John Garfoot leading this out at the moment. So it's going to be Garfoot who's going to come into the line first. So John Garfoot, massive numbers from John as he comes in. Good riding by the Royal Marine there. Then it's going to be Paul Manning, Jess Cecil, Steve Hilbert. It's going to be the man from the Stelton, followed by Mr. Taylor behind. Then Sonia Inslee, our next rider out on course. Got to say a massive thank you, of course, to Ian in looking after the rider, the best combativity award ever. A pair of Oakleys from Ian at 10.80. In fact, going to Sonia Inslee, who never gives up, who sprints absolutely every time, who can be relied on to give it absolutely everything on the chain gang. And Sonia Inslee, one of our regular riders on the Donny Chaingang, in and pushing towards the finish here. She'll be able to see that rock arch coming up in the distance. There you go, just to the right of her brown mitt there, the right hand side of the STI shifter. So she continues to push in towards the finish. I know Sonia's got plenty more racing to come. Sonia, of course, the winner of our Combativity Award on the Tour de France, done by the Donny Chaingang, the tribute from us to the Tour. And those prizes being awarded to members of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. And a massive thank you to everybody who's supported us on the way through. Still plenty more to come, of course, as Sonia Inslee comes in and crosses the line behind. Then this is going to be Carl Johnson. Carl always relied on for a good sprint into the finish. So again, riding on that Dogma F from Pinarello. Big kick out the saddle, just keeping those revs up there. Big power just out the saddle, kicking for that line. Not too far to go before that rock arch comes into sight here. As in comes Carl Johnson. Good ride by Carl. And Carl Johnson coming in and through 38 second for that as he goes through. Behind him comes Mr. Wallace, so good riding by Gordon Wallace. Then it's going to be Andrew Learmouth on his way through. So Learmouth goes through. Then behind, I think Bobby Mason's got about 15 seconds on Ted at the moment. You can just see Ted in the distance behind, but Bobby again, another of our regulars on the Donny Chaingang. And great to see Bobby in action on his way into the finish. That full-on lightweight setup, no doubt being a benefit up on the climbs, but a bit of a penalty as you push into the finish. Ted behind, putting in a big kick here. So here we go. In goes Bobby Mason behind him. It's going to be Ted. Ted, of course, one of our fantastic riggers on the chain gang, always in the mix as he comes through just ahead of Chris Cadham. Then it's going to be Lone Rider. Sean Ferron comes through behind, and Sean again doing a big old ride in to get in to the finish. We got a little bit of a gap, so let's have a little bit of a look as we're going to just see if we can lay our hands on a bear who is somewhere, I hope, recovering from what was a pretty tough ride out there. Soon find out, because I think on the end of the phone line is the one and only Bear. Is the bear cuddly or is he growling? Let's find out.
It's the one and only Bear. Is the bear cuddly or is no answer, really.
Are you feeling all right there, mate?
Yeah, feeling all right. Felt better, felt worse.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It's just not easy, is it, riding at that speed and juggling balls or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. And it's got to be said, it was a very tough ride. I mean, that course is not easy, and those hills really do take the toll.
No, I think we behaved pretty well, you know. It was really good. It's just on the descent, you know, sort of trying to do too many things, and it's just, yeah, it's all good. So I'm just wrecked.
I love it when you can't talk at the end of it, Russ. It's generally, for me, a great sign that you are absolutely cabbaged.
Absolutely, I can't do no more, you know. Like I say, it's it's busy lately, so it's good to keep the peace. And like I say, when the go happens, it's like, oh yeah, job done type thing, and pull the pin, and I just got a little bit more, and then those guys are moving at the end. I think even one of the little groups in, I was going 450 watts and not even keeping up. So it was like, yeah, I'm not going that hard.
No, definitely not. And what a breakaway by Mason. Mason really pushed on hard there.
Yeah, listening to it on the commentary, honestly, I couldn't see the screen. I was just like, I've got one to the left and one to the right. I'm like, oh, stare at the biggest one that you don't need to focus on, and that one was the Zwift screen. So it was just like I could hear him going, but I could see people going on about heart rate, and I'm like, oh, mine's not very good, so they can't be commenting about mine.
Yeah, 196 I think I saw at one point. I think if I went that hard, I think my heart exploded. Just got to mention as he comes in towards the line, we just got Andy Kerr heading into the finish here from Epworth, doing a great job here. Andy, one of our newer riders, and looks like Andy in and across the line, just a warm down to do.
Yeah, that's good. It's not easy, on your own through that desert there. It's probably like in real life, it seems to take forever, but it's great for him to keep coming back week in, week out, and I'm sure he'll be seeing the improvement.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of improvements, I think we're likely to see a flurry of posts on Facebook, because I know for a fact Neil from the Crosscast and from Gritty has now got a new FTP. And don't forget, if you like Neil, you've got one, then make sure you post it on Facebook. It's always good to see, and we love to see whether you're getting a new FTP, whether you're getting round further than you ever have before. Make sure you get on the Facebook pages and show everybody just why the Chain Gang works for you.
Yeah, that's why I started for, to help bring people on, give something to focus on. So yeah, post away and get the old feel good factor rolling and show us your improvement. That's what we set it up for.
Definitely. Just seeing Tim Leary on his way in here. Tim, another of our new members, just joined, in fact, in the supporters club, and good to have Tim on board. Another rider who's improving. We're seeing him go further and further each week. He goes closer and closer to that go, which is always everybody's target, and then it's to try and keep up. There's always somebody quick, there's always somebody slower than you, and good riding by Tim there.
Yeah, so we always go on about Martin Bolt at the start. He was just 5 minutes getting dropped, then he was 10, then he was 20, then he kept up with the go. So keep on turning those pedals, and you'll be in there right till the death some days.
Yeah, definitely. And got to say, great to see so many people using it to recover from COVID, using it as a recovery from injuries, from operations. And as Russ said, it's why we said it. We want to watch people get better, and that's the feel-good factor that the Chain Gang gives you. So we just got Alan Parsons on the Chain Gang. I know this is his second workout of the day. He's doing a great job of being our beacon. And remember, of course, we're back on Thursday. So back for more punishment, and I think, Russ, you better get some recovery done.
I think I need something.
Well, mate, we'll let you go. I'll catch up with you soon, and we'll see you on Thursday on the Chain Gang.
Cheers, mate, and thanks a lot, guys. Great gang, and put your feet up and get ready for Thursday. I can't remember where we're going. I've been that busy lately. Where are we going, Matt?
We are going to...
you had to look, didn't you?
I was looking for the sheet of paper, and you know what? I've got them all upstairs out of the way out of the studio. We are going... I have absolutely no idea. Don't ask me. Tune in next week. I'll tell you then. Or become a member, and it says it on your email.
We've absolutely had a mare there, mate. Absolutely blank. I'm not kidding you here, YouTube. I actually don't know where we're going on Thursday.
I'm quickly looking. Look, you see, I'm down here on the computer here. I'm going to literally, you can tell, it shows you just how we said it was really busy. Do you know what it is? We will tell you where you're heading. You are going to be heading to... Oh, Russ, you sadist. You're going to Innsbruck Ring.
Yeah, I remember now, Innsbrucking, yeah. No, it's all good fun, that.
Excellent. Look forward to seeing that. Hopefully I'll be putting words to it. We'll see just how fast the XCC at the World Champs mountain bike goes. Hopefully we can jump straight from that into the Chain Gang if the timing works right. We'll see. Right, Russ. Good luck, mate. We'll see you in Innsbruck Ring.
Innsbrucking it is then, gang. Thanks a lot. Good night.
So great to catch up from Russ, just watching our riders on the way in here. And you can just see our red beacon here. This is Ken Kerrigan with him. So red beacon is going to be Mr. Ridley, then Ken Kerrigan on his way in here with him. And Kerrigan leading out here as they head in towards the line. So another rider recovering from COVID, and Ken doing the right thing, taking it nice and steady, not being too silly on the front of the group. Just leads through our red beacon. A massive thank you to Alan Parsons doing those red beacon duties. And remember, if you know that you're going to be available, make sure you get your name in. Each time that comes up, it goes up on the Facebook page, the call for riders for the red beacon duties, and it is critical that we get those beacons, as we explained earlier on in the show. The more people we get who volunteer to be beacons, the more riders doing that job. It's really interesting because it really does give people an insight into what's going on, into how the chain gang rolls, what it's like maybe at the back when you're maybe up at the front, and it is a tough workout. Because without riders like Alan and without the gang who go backwards and forwards looking after the riders, we really do find that people have a hard time out there. Right, let's jump back to one of our winners in the Tour de France week. This is Mark Tickhill. Now, Mark Tickers from Sitwell CC on his way into those final loops here. Good to know that Mark's watching quickly back down onto the drops there. Deep rims and on a lightweight frame. Good mix of kit there. Mark Tickle, of course, one of our winners. Now, he's one of these people that are waiting at the moment for the special prologue packs from Grand Tour Coffee. So, as soon as we get those, they will be out. We did warn everybody that we knew with the summer and with the pace of events that the guys at Grand Tour Coffee, Ben Jenkins, was very busy. He was at the Tour de France. He then went from the Tour de France to the Olympics and then straight into the Vuelta. And in between, bringing us some great coffee and some great packs as well. And that is going to be coming back out. If you want to know how good the coffee is, make sure you go on to Neil from the Crosscast feed on Instagram. I think you can still pick up the video. Neil opening one of the bags, one of the bags that he got as the winner of the 6 stages, riding the 6 stages as member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. And of course, doing the business with opening that. It's a great unbagging of coffee, very expressive indeed. And I think it worked tonight because a new FTP from Neil on his way around the course. So, Mark Tickhill on his way in. Quick reminder, if you're not a member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, you've got to be in it to win it. You need to be on board if you want to be able to access the discounts, to get all of the links, the details of the routes, the finish lines, the details of where we're heading, exactly where we're going, what the climb, what the course is going to be, what bike to be riding, what kits to have, and of course, to get all of the links to Swift Insider, to a fellow viewer, as well as to the YouTube feed, and of course the link into the events before anybody else. You don't have to register ride by ride. So as we see, Mark Tickers on his way in. Big sprint finish, I'm hoping, here from Mark as he comes in. Come on, Mark, big kick. Here we go. 5 watts per kilo. Last little bit coming out into the rock arch. Well, that is going to be Mark in and across the line. Well done, mate. Good to see coming through. Hour and 24 of riding. So as Mark continues his warm down, all that's left for me to say is make sure you tune in. Don't forget, I'm going to be broadcasting for the UCI on the World Feed on Thursday for the World Championship Mountain Bike. That's the XCC, the super short one. And we're going to see the women and men. Great contingent of riders from the UK as well as racing it out. That's going to be on the World Feed on the UCI YouTube channel. Don't forget, of course, you can also catch it on, I think, GCN and on Red Bull TV with Rob Warner hosting the Red Bull TV feed. Don't forget, also going to then have the Chain Gang on Thursday night. We also have XCO Mountain Bike on Saturday, the downhill on Sunday again. I'm putting worse to the action on the World Feed. And then we're going to have the highlights programs from the World Championships coming out as well. Then into the Chain Gang next Tuesday, which is the last in August. If you're a member of the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Sports Club, and you haven't renewed, please make sure you do so. And remember, we've got that big block out there. So a massive thank you from Russ, from me, and from everybody on the Chain Gang for watching. Remember, keep it rubber side down. Enjoy the next couple of days. We'll see you soon on the Donny Chain Gang here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel.